in the first session next week. The reason I'm recording these is to give you an idea of what's coming up, so you can do some background reading if you'd like to, or really just think about some of the ideas presented, because in class I'm hoping we'll be able to do a lot more discussion, a lot more kind of analysis of images rather than a kind of traditional lecture. So just to quickly give you an overview as to what we're doing, we're going to be looking at visual communication and meaning as a process, something that involves the art object, the artists themselves, and the person who is looking at the art object. So we'll look at that as a sort of broad idea. The key text that I'm going to introduce you to is called Practices of Looking, and that's by Sturken and Cartwright. And for the whole of this kind of block of teaching, we'll be looking at chapters 1 and chapters 2, and we'll be looking in particular at pages 45 to 48 and 56 to 58. So you can find the whole of that chapter on StudentNet. So if you want to do some pre-reading, please have a look at pages 45 to 48 and 56 to 58. We're going to be looking at this idea of a complex relationship, and this is communication theory. So the great theorist here is Stuart Hall, and again his work is on StudentNet. Now I'm going to take us quickly to the presentation I'll be giving, which is called Finding Meaning. And what we're going to be doing is looking at creating a shared definition of meaning as applied to a work of art, a work of design. We're going to be looking at some standard definitions of meaning and what you think, how appropriate you think they will be. We're going to apply these to some tangible examples, see what we make to those depending on our subject area. And then we're going to use a basic communication model and analyse it, see whether we think it works or it doesn't. So here we go, artist, art object, viewer. We'll be looking at how more complex that might get, and then coming up with a model that's a little less frantic than the one we've just very quickly seen. So we're looking at ideas of the viewer as somebody who not only decodes meanings in the art object, but also puts them back into the art object, because the artist might have a set of meanings they want to communicate, but then once that art object, it doesn't matter whether it's a painting, a vase, a piece of jewellery, once the viewer gets hold of it, they will kind of give it sort of cultural value, cultural meaning. So this all sounds quite complex, don't worry, this is what our whole session is going to be about. And we're going to look at the implications of this for you, the maker. And then finally, we're going to be questioning as to whether the meaning of a work of art is something that can be understood primarily in terms of the artist's intention, or whether it's something that might be constantly changing and part of a wider process.